Hello friends, welcome to my channel SushantChessWise. Today we are at the next topic of planning in chess, and we are going to discuss a position which will help us improve our planning. So what are the key ingredients of planning, how to know when one has to plan and when one has to look for tactics. That is the main differentiating factor. See, generally when outright you will see combinations are not happening, the player has become slow, means there is less interaction between the pieces, maybe it's time to plan. Usually a stage which is just after the opening, it involves some set of plans. Like this position we have here, white to play. This is a typical position from the semi-Tarash opening, and white has here a plan. Same of course black has. See, white uses his pawns, this d4 and the e4 pawns in the center, okay, as a space which can either enable him to get a passed pawn with the move c, d5, or in some cases he can use this bishop and this knight for attacking on the king. So this is white's general plan. Black on the other hand wants to go into an endgame where see he is counting on these two pawns against see white's one pawn. So these kind of endgames will be really favorable for black. Meanwhile, he will try to restrain these white's center pawns. So white here has to decide what to do with his rooks here. Planning mainly involves improving of our pieces which are not well placed, and at the same time we want to make most of our well placed pieces. So here white has to decide whether he wants rook ac1 and rook fd1, or other way around, go rook a d1 and rook f e1, which one he wants. So white here see goes with rook a d1, he is counting on the move d5, and see soon he will use his knight to go to g5 also. So the king side attack and the d pawn are his two trumps that he wants to use. So bb7 black plays that, white is looking to play the move d5, but the move instant d5 allows knight a5, and see the bishop has no good retreat place, mainly because see on b3 it will be taken and the queen can establish itself on d6. After ed qd6, d5 will come under fire. So white just goes see rook f e1, another very useful move. The bishop c wants to retire back to f1 here when attacked by na5. We will see in the next variation. Black goes rook c8, and see black plays the good move d5. Superb timing. See, the calculation and the plan, they go hand in hand. This is the typical secret of planning. When we can rather mix the calculation and plan, they fall together, they merge together. It is the most, you can say, elegant thing to happen. See, like here after na5, white wants the bishop to come back. See, mainly he had the idea of bishop f1, and now see after ed qd6 blocking the d pawn, white has knight g5. See, so nicely the bishop is been tucked away on f1, and see knight e4, then maybe g3 followed by bg2, and white is really on the top of his game. The d pawn will advance to d6. This is where I find the use of computer programs also very interesting. The computer suggests the move after knight a5, b2, improvising the same line. After ed queen d6, knight g5, you will note that other things being equal, now see knight e4, and this bishop is heading straight away to f3. So one tempo is gained. See, at first it looks like bishop is misplaced on the e2 square, but see next moment it will be on f3, next move itself. So maybe b2 is slightly an improvement. Black went ed5, and now see white wants of course bd5 here, not ed5, because after ed na5, this time see firstly I must show you after bb3, see white cannot afford this trade. nb3 ab qd6, and after knight g5 rook f d8, white is a move slower here, because after ne4 qd5, you can see just the pawn is lost, knight cannot move to d6, see, because knight d6 might just allow queen g2 mate. So this is bad position. And here after the move bishop f1, perhaps black has other things like nc4, he may not play immediate queen d6. So white goes bd5. See, white is counting on this spin on the d5 b7 diagonal, and he wants to use the attack of the bishop on this diagonal, means the knight is heading to see this g5 square. This is a clearly better position for white. White is counting on the principle of double weakness, or sometime here I will say two advantages. One is the bishop, which when captured with bd5 will give a passed pawn, and other is the knight jumping to g5, queen coming to f4 will give a kingside attack. Let's see how. Black goes na5. If rook e8, see, there is an instant tactic. Knight g5. Now see, f7 is going. If knight e5, just bb7 is lost. And after see re7, queen f4, queen e8. I hope you must have seen by now. It's white to play and win. So white goes bf7, rook f7, queen f7, queen f7, knight f7. Now if knight is not taken, knight will go to the d6 square, see here. And if takes, then rook check, ke6, rook b7, and white is just winning exchange up and pawn up as well. So black decides to go with na5. He wants the trade of the bishop. White says fine and just moves the queen away. Now see, immediately there are multiple threats. One is bb7, just taking the bishop. Second is bf7, the rook unleashes its power on the queen. And third is the knight jumping to either g5 or e5. So see, black goes qc7. Instantly he doesn't want bd5. White will force black to take it. See, queen c7, queen f5, and now see, there are some serious problems. Firstly, white is threatening see knight g5. So if h6, then bb7, qb7, rd7, the rook penetrates. After rc7, rook d1, white has made most of it. See, white's kingside play is now superior. Center control and kingside play is said to go hand in hand. And after this line, c takes, if qb8, we see just ne5. White is cruising along, queen e8, then see, moment the queen moves to e8, there will be rook a7 winning. And after qc6 too, white wants ne5. There is the weakness of back rank here. c1 is weak, so see just h4, and next move will be see knight going to e5. This is also clearly better for white. Even you can see the pawn on a7 is hanging. So black goes bishop takes d5 and e takes d5. As I have been saying, the passed pawn is now very powerful. It's very difficult to block the d6 square. And see, second idea, the knight jumping to g5, both are coinciding. So let's say if queen d6, there comes knight g5. See the emerging endgame here, qg6, takes, and see d6, and next you will see the pawn going to d7 as well, and b7, d7, rook d8. Somehow black has stopped the pawn, and now see rook e7. Things are really difficult. White is putting a grind on the black position. f8 rook is frozen, d8 cannot move, only move perhaps knight c5, to which see again good move, rook d6. Now see, white is just keeping black pressurized. He can trade the knights. One plan I see is see f3 followed by knight e4, and when after the trade fe, the e pawn might advance this way. This is a very strong plan. The rook endgames I think are almost losing because see black rooks are stuck. Another plan being f3 followed by the king coming straight till d4 and then penetrating via d5, c6. This also can be a winning plan. But I think first trading the knight makes sense here. So black didn't go with the move qd6. See, had he played instant and c4, then to knight g5, same, the kingside attack now becomes very quick. g6, qh3, forcing the h pawn to move, and see the brilliant move knight e4. The squares f6 and d6 have fallen into white's hand. Now the move d6 is threatened, so knight d6 forced, and now see knight f6, kg7. Can you find the best move for white? These lines see didn't happen, but see the analysis how the white player has calculated, and the winning move qg3 because of see multiple threats. The first threat being knight h5, and I hope you must have noted if kf6 there is just queen e5, checkmate. Very difficult to stop knight h5, king h8 forced perhaps, and after that queen g5 threatening mate on h6, knight f5. Multiple moves are there. One is d6 using the overloading of this knight. See, knight cannot take on d6 because of queen h6 mate, and otherwise also there was knight h5. See, gh, queen check, king moves, taking the knight, totally winning. So black tries to trade the queens. He goes with qc2. Only way perhaps. White wants to trade the queens, but when the pawn reaches or maybe advances a bit more. Right now the queen is active. He plays queen f4, just controlling d6. Now black is in almost, we can say, troublesome position, almost losing. Knight e5, knight g5 coming. If knight c4, then see rook c1, queen a2, rook a1, queen moves, rook a7, and it's game over. And now see, the pawn is regained, material is equal, and see the d pawn is about to advance. There is going to be d6, d7 soon. It will be like the game position. So black plays queen a2. At least he thinks I will take the pawn, and then let's see. d6, rook d8 trying to contain the pawn, d7, and see now the f8 rook is paralyzed. Knight is just heading to e5, and there is one more plan. Queen c4 trying to trade the queens. White still waits. Queen f5. Now see, knight is heading to either e5 or g5. One of them will win. Black tries h6 here, stopping knight g5. If the queen moves to c6, then see, knight e5 stops qg6, and after queen e6, can you find the best move for white? White will not trade the queens. He has the very strong qc2. See, as I made this arrow, the queen is heading to c7, and soon you will note that the knight after some time will jump to c6. Even the move rook d6 is there, queen attacks a7, the queen side will collapse. So black tried h6 here, and now see, rook c1, queen is attacked, queen a6. Unfortunately, the queen has to go to corner, and rook c7. Total domination by the rooks, queen, and the knight. Black is like, here we can say, playing like a rook down. b5, bringing the queen on the c. This third rank trying to control till g6. Knight d4, very strong move. This was actually, I would have said, it is almost like white to play and win. White's plan is simple. Knight goes to d4, and soon you will see either there will be rook c8 or knight c6 or rook e8. One of them is going to break free here, because see, after rook e8, you must have noted that there is huge tactics happening on f7. So multiple threats loom here. It's almost game over. Black tries qb6 in the game. If queen d6, then see, just knight b5, material is lost. Queen d2 attacking the rook, rook goes away, and whatever is done, next you will see after nb3, rook a7, white is totally winning, because material is gone and just black has to wait. Black tries qb6 here, attacking the knight and the rook, but it's too late. Can you find the best move for white? Yes, the back rank is weak, so the move is rook c8. Now see, no time for qd4. qd4 loses on the spot to rook d8, re8, and mates next move. If any other move like g6 attacking the queen, you can see the very strong rook d8. Now see, rook cannot take because of re8. If g takes f5, then see rook f8, king f8, rook check, and the pawn prevails. It's a rook down position. Any other move like qd8 allows qb5. See, the threat is re8 and white is winning. This game, I feel, is of very high level. Both are very strong players. We are actually seeing game by two world champions here. I'll tell you who are the players. Now see, after rook c8, there was nothing much to be done. In the game, black went nb7. After b4, I will show you b4. There comes rook e8, and see, it's decisive. Once again, after qd4, rook f8, king, rook into f8 forced. Can you find the pretty finish here? White had seen, see, rook f8, king f8. It looks like he is piece down, no d8 coming. But see, queen c5 check. The queen was the defender. So takes, and d8 queen mates. So black tries nb7. After nb7, white again uses knight c6, attacks the knight on rook on d8, and see, of course, white allowed nd6. Final blow of the game. What will you do as white? White definitely must have more than one way here. Okay, but he goes with the very simple nd8. See how elegant it is, just using the back rank. Knight takes f5 and knight simply comes back to c6, because see, d8 is very well guarded. The pawn is going to queen on d8 whatever is done, in spite of any move like g6 or nd6. Okay, black resigned here, because even if nd6 then takes d8 queen d8 and d8 winning, black tried to guard e8, you must have noted. And if in the same position, if g6 was played, then see, rook f8, king f8, rook e8. This time also the pawn queens on d8, and white would have anyways won the game. So this was Smyslov white versus Petrosian black. Heavyweights fighting it out on the imbalances of the game. So if one tries and waits at those points where I have asked to, and try to find moves or at least calculate some variations, do note every small tactic is the secret of a positional idea. Okay, as you have seen, it happened in many lines here. Some positional point is proven by a small tactic. So I hope you are liking these lessons. Do let me know in the comments below. Thanks for your time.